Welcome to the lesson on setting up your development environment. In this hands-on lab, we will set up a fully functional development environment tailored for FHIR application development. Our goals are important because having the right tools installed and configured properly ensures a smooth workflow for developing, testing, and running FHIR-based applications. Here are the components we will install. Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is our primary integrated development environment, or IDE. It offers powerful extensions, debugging features, seamless integration with Git, Docker, and APIs, making it ideal for FHIR development. Git will be our version control system. Git helps us track changes, collaborate with teams, maintain version history for our projects. It is crucial for managing code in distributed teams and ensuring seamless updates. Docker will be used for running IRIS for Health with our FHIR server. Docker allows us to run an isolated instance of InterSystems IRIS for Health, which provides a built-in FHIR server. This provides a pre-configured environment for FHIR applications without complex local setups. Visual Studio Code REST client extensions will run FHIR API queries. This extension enables us to send API requests directly from Visual Studio Code, making it easy to test FHIR endpoints without needing separate tools like Postman. Python is going to be used for writing FHIR-based client code. Python is a versatile programming language that we will use to build FHIR clients, automatic workflows, and interact with the FHIR server programmatically. Finally, Jupyter Notebooks will be used for AI and FHIR assignments. Jupyter provides an interactive environment for running Python code, making it perfect for FHIR-related AI experiments, data analysis, and assignments. Before you begin the installation process, ensure that your system allows you to have administrative privileges, because frequently you will be required to sign in as an administrator to install some of these tools. In this course, we will be using Visual Studio Code, or VSCode, as our preferred development editor. VSCode is a lightweight yet powerful integrated IDE that offers excellent support for FHIR application development. It provides a highly customizable experience with an extensive range of extensions that enhance productivity. One of the key reasons we prefer VSCode is seamless integration with essential tools like Git, Docker, Python, and REST APIs, making it an ideal choice for this course. It supports multiple programming languages, offers built-in terminal functionality, and provides robust debugging features. To get started, you'll need to install VSCode on your system. Simply go to https://code.visualstudio.com/ and download the appropriate version for your operating system. The installation process is straightforward and typically just takes a few minutes. Once installed, we will configure VSCode with the necessary extensions to optimize our workflow for FHIR application development. This setup will allow us to efficiently write, debug, and test code while interacting with FHIR servers. Let's begin by downloading and installing VSCode, ensuring that it is ready for our upcoming exercises. I'll start my installation of VSCode on the Mac. I'll open the Safari browser and type in downloads VSCode to find the website I need. You can see here's the download site. When installing on the Mac, be sure to check your chipset or use the universal chipset as I'm selecting here. The download does not take very long, but it does take a little bit of time. After it's downloaded, click on it. Here, I'll click again, and that should open VS Code. It's verifying the installation. We'll say we agree to open it from the internet, and here we've just installed Visual Studio Code. Now that we have Visual Studio Code installed, let's explore how to customize and configure it for an optimal development experience. One of the biggest advantages of VS Code is the extensibility through plugins, also known as extensions. These allow us to enhance functionality, such as adding support for FHIR APIs, Docker integration, Git version control, and Python development. We will be installing a few essential plugins later in this session. Before we dive into more complex configurations, let's try a simple but important setup step: adding VS Code to the system's path. This will allow us to open VS Code directly from the terminal using the code command. To do this on the Mac, press Command plus Shift plus P, or on Windows, press Control plus Shift plus P. This opens the command palette where we could execute various commands. Type shell command install code on path and select it. Here I'll demonstrate this on the Mac by using the key combination Command plus Shift plus P. I can now type in code and find on the list where I could add code to the path. And you can see we've successfully added it to the path. Next, we will install and set up Docker, which is a crucial tool for running FHIR development environments. Docker is a containerization platform that allows us to create lightweight, isolated environments where applications can run consistently across different systems. In this course, we will use Docker to run InterSystems IRIS for health, which includes a FHIR server, ensuring we have a controlled and reproducible development environment. For our setup, we will use the free personal edition of Docker Desktop. However, please note that Docker still requires you to register for an account before downloading and using their software. If you don't already have an account, you could create a free one during the installation process. To install Docker Desktop, visit https://www.docker.com/products/Docker Desktop. Here I'll install Docker Desktop on the Mac. I'm going to open Safari, type in Docker Desktop, and it'll bring me to the home page where we could then go and select to the downloads link and get Docker. Now there's different operating system and chipsets. We want the Mac, and I'm on the Intel chip, and so I'm going to select that. Doesn't take very long to download. Now I'll select it and go to my downloads. That didn't open it. So let's go and open it through the Finder. I'll go to Downloads and double click on that. And it disappeared, so let's try it again. And I'll just drag Docker over to Applications, and that'll start the install process. It's copying that into Applications, and this doesn't take very long either. Once that's done, let's close these windows out. Close the Finder, close the Safari. Now let's go to our Applications Launchpad and click on Docker. This takes a little bit of time here because it's doing a verification. It may take up to a minute or so, so be patient. And then say, yes, we did download that from the internet. Now we have to essentially log in or create our account. We're going to go with the personal Docker. So if you go up to personal here and just add your email address. Now, if I have an account already, so I'm going to just log in with my personal email, but you'll have to register. It's all free. You could continue and then say, I want to allow to open Docker. I don't have to do the survey. And right now you're in the Docker desktop. And so you could see containers. We don't have any, or images. To enhance our development experience in Visual Studio Code, we will install a few essential extensions that will help us work efficiently with Docker, REST APIs, and Jupyter Notebooks. First, let's install the Docker extension. This extension allows us to manage Docker containers, images, and volumes directly within VS Code. It provides an intuitive UI for interacting with Docker, making it easier to build, run, and debug our FHIR-based applications without needing to use complex command line tools. Next, we'll install the REST client. This extension is an alternative to Postman and enables us to send FHIR API requests directly from VS Code. We could test FHIR endpoints, retrieve patient records, and interact with the FHIR server using simple HTTP or REST files. And lastly, we'll install Jupyter. This extension allows us to run Jupyter Notebooks inside VS Code. It's particularly useful for AI and FHIR assignments, as we could write and execute Python code in a structured, interactive format. This is helpful for data analysis, visualizations, and AI model and development. To install these, we open VS Code and we press Control or Command-Shift-X, search for the extensions that I mentioned by name, and click Install. So let's go ahead and now set up these extensions. Let's go ahead and install these extensions one by one. I'm in VS Code and I'm going to select on where all the extensions are listed. I'm going to type in Docker for the first extension, and I'm going to look for the extension written by Microsoft. This is very popular. It's going to make our lives a lot easier for running Docker, and I'm going to just go ahead and install this. You can see there's been 41 million downloads of this extension. Next, let's go ahead and install our REST client. This will make it easier to do FHIR requests. And here again, it's designed for Visual Studio Code, and we'll go ahead and install that one. And the last thing is our Jupyter extension. Let's type in Jupyter, if I could spell it correctly. No, that's not it. This extension is written by Microsoft, and I have that wrong. There it is. And again, very popular, and we'll install that. So that's all there is to installing 3 very popular and useful extensions for our Visual Studio Code setup. Now let's talk about Git, an essential tool for managing and tracking changes in our code. Git is a distributed version control system that allows us to work on a project simultaneously with other developers, track modifications, and revert to a previous version if needed. This makes Git an ideal tool for collaboration, and code management and software development, including our FHIR-based applications. One of the advantages of using VS Code is that Git is already built in, making it easy to interact with repositories directly from the editor. In this part of installation, we're going to clone a Git repository that I wrote that contains starter files for this lab. To do this, we could either use VS Code's graphical interface or run a number of commands at the VS Code terminal. I suggest we use the visual editor. This command will then download the repository to our local machine, allowing us to modify and work on the project. If you are using Git outside of VS Code, you may need to install it first. You can find installation instructions here at https://github.com/git-guides/install Git. Once Git is installed and the repository is cloned, we can start working on our FHIR development environment. Let's go ahead and clone the repository so we can move to the next step. Now I'll clone our FHIR repository. So I'm going to click on this clone button and just paste in the repository that I'd set up earlier. Notice we're going to clone from this repository, and we'll put it in this EC2 user folder. And that's all there is to it. We've cloned it, so now we could open it and say, yes, we trust the authors. And let's navigate and look at our Docker file. This is all that went into this repository. Or you don't have to understand any of this now. But let's go to Docker Compose, and we could see in our Docker Compose file, we have the option to run this service. Now, this is what we need to do. We first need to build it and run it, but let's just click Run Service here, and that should start the process. So notice it's building this container, and this is going to take us a little bit of time because there are many layers in this repository that have to be built. These are actually software dependencies that go into this FHIR server. So we'll give this some time. I would allow for somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on your system. And it's already completed for me. Part of the reason is that I had built this earlier, so it's not really fair. And we could close this terminal here. And at this stage, we could run some requests. Let's just make sure our container is running. What I'll do is I'll open a new terminal here in VS Code. And I could just type Docker PS, and I should be able to see the process running. And you could see Docker FHIR IRIS FHIR is running. And so that's been up for 8 minutes, and that's great. Why don't we just see what is inside that container? So again, I'll open up Safari here, and I'm going to type the URL of the management portal, and you can see it comes up for me because I've done it before, localhost:8080/CSP/sys/util home, and let's just run that, and we can see I'm in the management portal. Normally, if you haven't logged in recently, you would log into that portal. The credentials are _system, and the password is all caps ISC demo. But now that we're in the container, let's go down to health, and click on our FHIR server under the demo namespace, and we could go to FHIR server management, and you could see we have a FHIR server that's now running on this URL. It's been set up in the container with this many resources, and we could see here's all the resources in this FHIR server. So that's all you need to do. Let's just log out so I could show you the login process again. Normally when you come here, you'd have to log in, and the username is system, and again the password is capital ISC demo. And I'm not going to save this, not now, but you can see we're able to log in, and again we could look at our FHIR server if we come to health, demo, and FHIR server management. Let's shut down our Docker container now. First, I want to see where I am on the file system, so I use ls-l. And I want to navigate to Docker FHIR, so I change directories. And now I'm going to type Docker compose down, and that's going to terminate the container gracefully. It's going to stop all the processes in it. At this point, now what I'd like to do is install Pythons. The easiest way is to install the Python extension. Go to the extensions, looking for the Microsoft extension, and notice it's installing. There's been 165 million installs of this extension. And now going back, I need to select it, so I use Command-Shift-P to bring up my Visual Studio Code editor, and I'm looking for Python select interpreter, and there's a lot of commands here, but as you can see as I navigate down this list, there it is, select interpreter, and I could choose which version of Python I want to install. I'm going to install the latest. So that's all there is to getting Python installed on your system. Let's make sure our Jupyter notebooks are installed correctly. I'll come back to our VSCode, and again using that Command-Shift-P, I'm going to type Jupyter, and hopefully I can spell it correct this time. Nope. Here we go. Create new Jupyter notebook. And you can see this indicates that we do have a Jupyter notebook installed, which is fantastic. Let's close this out. And we don't want to save this. Let's bring back our Docker container, and I'll show you a few things for making REST requests. To start it up from the terminal, we just type Docker compose up-d, and this should bring it up fairly quickly. Okay, so the container's up. Now, why don't we try to communicate that with that container, not through the management portal, but by making a REST request. So click on REST request, and we have this FHIR practice HTTP. If we go down here, we could look at some commands that will get data from the container. So here's one where we're going to get the metadata, and so I'm going to just send that request along. I'll send the request, and we should get the capability statement. As you can see here, we have a 200 response, and the entire listing of the capability statement. We'll talk about this more in future lessons. Right below it is a request to get all the patients in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and send that request. And as you can see, we have 115 patients retrieved in all their entries. So that kind of wraps up this setting up the environment. Let's do some final checks before we declare success. The first thing we'll want to do when we end off our laboratories is shut down our Docker container so we can free up system resources. To do this from the command line is very easy. We just type Docker compose down, and you can see the container is stopping. And to confirm that, we could just type Docker PS, and we see we don't have any containers running. So good news. Now let's just do a quick check of all our commands that we executed earlier in the lesson to verify everything's installed right. The first thing I'm going to do is check on Visual Studio Code. Did I correctly add that to the path? If I did, I should get the version, as you can see here. Let's check next if our Git version or Git is installed properly. I'll type Git -- version. You can see we get a version number there. How about Docker -- version again? Yep, Docker version is described, and we have Docker running correctly. How about Python? Well, Python isn't found, and the reason for that is it's installed in this virtual environment in VS Code and not generally through the system. So we might want to consider installing that more globally, and I'll show you that in a second. How about Jupyter? And of course, the one thing is you got to spell it correctly, which I always have trouble spelling. So let's do that again. And hopefully this time we see that Jupyter has been installed correctly. So what about installing Python more globally? Well, to do that, we have to go to the Safari, and we'll go to Python downloads, and we could download Python, and the latest release is 3.13. I would recommend going with the latest stable release, which is usually a little bit behind. So this version, I think, would be good. And that's not what I want. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, here's 3.12.8. That looks good. Let's download that version. And if we look at, get a lot of descriptions here. What we're wanting, the easiest way would be to find the installer for macOS, and here's the universal installer. So we'll go with that, and that installer just takes a little bit, but it's got to pull then from the Python repository. And here we'll see, here's the Python installer for 3.12.8, and we'll continue here, and we'll continue and agree to the license terms and install. Again, we need our administrator credentials to make this installation. And it's writing these files. It doesn't take that long to install Python on the entire system if you don't have it. I would recommend installing it. Let's give this just a little bit more time. And we should update the shell command. This will put put Python on our path, and it's done that, as you can see. Now I'll close all of this out, and we can move the installer to the trash. We don't need it anymore. One thing, if you want to now check on the Python path, what you need to do is close the code window here. Let's close these and essentially create a new terminal. From this terminal, we could type Python -- version. Now this won't work because we've installed Python 3, but I wanted to show you this. Notice it says Python not found. So we really need to type Python 3 because we're using, that's the major version. And now type version. And you can see we have Python 3.12.8 on our system. So that kind of concludes the lab. It's possible that one or more of the components did not install properly for you. And what I would suggest is going back, again, looking at the video and trying to reinstall it so that you get all these major systems correct. If not, I wouldn't worry too much about it. We will be going over this again in future lessons when we do other labs. So thank you for your attention and good luck in your in setting up this environment.